Welcome back into part 2 of building a semi-aquatic vivarium with a water feature. The first thing I'm going to work on is the divider between the water and land features. I plan on having some amphibious little newts crawling around in here, so I want to let them have the option of easily going in and out of the water. I pre-cut this egg crate to fit snugly against the walls and water reservoir, and then zip-tied some terrarium mesh to form and started siliconing little pebbles on as makeshift steps. Yeah, this is one of the more tedious points on our journey to build this wet dirt house. With the magical lies of editing, we finished the ramp in 30 seconds. The next step is our drainage layer. We'll be using either hydroclay balls or crushed lava rock to help create a rich bioactive environment. I highly recommend rinsing your clay or lava rock beforehand, as it does get pretty dusty. You will need your drainage layer to be an inch or two deep, at least enough to keep the small water pump fully submerged at all times. I ended up having to use some silicone along the bottom of the tank, as well as a few pieces of wood to keep my pebble ramp propped up against the lava rock, as well as to break the fall of the water so I don't have an unrelenting splish splash hitting the front doors of the terrarium for eternity. Off camera, I cut out some more of the terrarium mesh to put over top of the drainage layer. This layer of mesh will keep your substrate from mixing down and creating a sludgy rock pile of stank and sabotaging the pump. I only need to blast water up about half a foot, so I'm only using a 70 gallon per hour pump. I've kept the entire corner behind my cork wall open for easy maintenance and access later on. I sprinkle a few of my ramp leftovers along the future water bed to hide the unsightly plank of wood the tank will eventually be resting on. Time to fill up the tank with some of that delicious H2O and see if my pump pumps and my waterfall falls water. I want my layer of mesh to be as even as possible, as we want the water level to be just below it, so I squish out all the lumpy bumpage. Between the residual dust of my drainage and some dirt from the walls, the water will get a little cloudy. But nothing an abundance of siphons and refills can't fix. It works, so that's a win for this tank. I found some spiderwood that looks like a vague suggestion of a tree and stabbed it through the mesh into the drainage. This tree won't pose a constant source of frustration later on. Those coconut hides I shoved into the wall last video are now homes to some dirt mix and little plants. With some aquarium-safe plant glue, I dabble some fresh moss caterpillars along the woody wall in hopes that with the constant flow of water near them, they will eventually turn my waterfall feature into a beautiful chia pet one day. I don't plan on having any major plants going in the soil. Paired with a shorter tank, I don't have much wiggle room to build a thick substrate, so I lay down a minimal layer and keep it below the vents on the front of this type of terrarium. I wrangled up some vines from an unrestrained vine takeover in one of our other vivarium builds, and over time this tree has the most air in my trial and error approach to building this. Spoiler alert, I end up using the more forgiving club moss for my knot tree after 4 failed vine deaths. I'm clearly not the plant person at Pisces. Alright, let's make this dirt fresh and exciting with a couple clumps of moss and then get to the beauty shots of this sweet summer child.